we've got a big task in front of us going on the road, playing a top 15 team. Obviously, it's a rivalry game, and I'm sure they'll have a packed house on Saturday afternoon at 2. So, we're going to have to really be tough. I think more than anything, we're going to have some toughness in that we're going to have to execute another game plan that's unique and specific to Oklahoma. And then at the same time, we're going to have some mental toughness because, they're averaging 10 threes a game. And, I hate to admit it, but they're probably going to make a one or two, and when that happens and the place gets loud, you got to keep your composure and got to stay in the moment. And so we've got to do a great job of defending them. And at the same time, we've got to execute offensively. We've got to go score. I don't think it's going to be a 55-53 game. So we got to execute offensively. We got to be better offensively. And so we're, obviously played extremely well and extremely hard Wednesday night and had a lot of kids play a lot of minutes. So yesterday I was careful with them. Today we'll get back after it, and then we'll get on the plane this afternoon and fly to Norman.
All right, Danny, you can go ahead and get us started.
Vic, just from what you've seen on film this year, what are your impressions of what Jenny's done so far in her first season with the Sooners?
Yeah, I mean, she's got her same system we had to defend last year at Drake. I think when we played them, it was like 100 to 80, something like that. I mean, they're just offensively, they're just a machine. She does a great job, and they're really talented. Obviously, there's some kids there that can really play, and they're really fitting into her system. And I think that's the thing you notice right away is that, those kids were competitive last year. And they just had a lot of, they had some injuries. They had some COVID sit outs. And I admired Sherry and her staff last year for holding that group together. They played with 6 kids, came in here and played us here after we had gone up there and won. They came here and erased a 14-point, I think, lead we had with 5 to go to get it to overtime and beat us in overtime. And I just thought those kids were tough. I just thought they were really tough. I admired them for their toughness. I admired Sherry for playing the season with 6 kids. There were teams across the country. Duke quit with 7. And so I just, I really admired them for sticking it out. And so, sorry, that was the AD calling. So I just really admired them for what they did when, they could have done what a lot of other teams did across the country, and they didn't do it. So that being said, those same kids are there, and then some. There's some additions. So we've got a big, tall task in front of us.
What obviously she's a great shooter, but what kind of player is Taylor? And are your guards kind of excited for the chance to get to defend her and try to maybe not stop her entirely, but at least keep her in check?
Yeah, I don't know if you get excited about guarding a great player like that. I think she's smart, heady. She's a basketball player, just really, really tough. But just really understands screens. Her window is this, that's open for her. And so it's really, and big. She's a big guard. I mean, she's not 5'6", 5'8". She's 6 foot, 6'1", really big guard. And so, it's a tough assignment for us. Again, we probably have to do it with committee of people, but it'll be a big challenge. You got a player like that basically she's open time she crosses half court, she's in range. So you got to be knowledgeable of that. You gotta know what the assignment is, 1 through 5, how you're guarding her, and then you got to go execute it.
All right, go ahead, Jonathan.
Coach, you mentioned the other night you had a lot of players playing a lot of minutes. How are you liking the depth right now of your team?
Oh, I like my depth. We had some kids miss parts of practice last week. Tasha didn't go on the trip to TCU because she was sick. We've got some little nagging injuries, some hand injuries, and so that's affected our depth. And so I'm hopeful that obviously Tasha was back in practice Monday, but she had missed 3 days. And then Kendall's got a little thumb issue, and so she missed 2/3 of a practice Monday, and then Tuesday she couldn't hardly use it. So I was concerned about her on Wednesday. So yesterday was better for Kendall, and Tasha seems to be back and fine. So those are 2 kids that we need. They had been playing, but it's hard enough for a freshman when you're there every day and trying to understand the game plan and all that. And when you're missing time and all that, it makes it, increasingly difficult. So we got to get everybody, got to keep everybody in the gym, got to keep everybody working, got to keep everybody shooting the ball. Kobe is still out and, really she's as tolerated right now, which she's not tolerating a lot. So we'll just, we have to keep working at it.
All right, go ahead, Jeff.
Coach, this Oklahoma offense has proven they can score in bunches. What do they do best on that side of the court?
I think their chemistry is really good. They spread you out. They got, multiple kids shooting big numbers from 3. And so I think that's the first thing. The second thing is, I think their inside folks, they can create problems for you as well. They can do some things off the bounce. So I just think they can really spread you out and get you in a spot where, you're in some unique, you can get exposed in a hurry. You relax, you think you're close, you switch out on number, you switch out on 30, we just talked about, and you think, well, coach, I'm guarding her. Well, not if she can get it off, because that's, she's, like I said, she's open when she's got this much room, and she's in range when she crosses half court. So, I've had a player like that in Victoria Vivian. She was very similar. And, I've seen her make a bunch of shots from a bunch of different areas on the floor, in some real tight spaces. So she's got my respect, and she's got my attention, and my job is to make sure my team has that too.
You mentioned a moment ago that this might not be a game that you hold the team to 50 or 55 like you have been doing recently. Is that something that you prepare your team for, or do you just kind of let them look up in the second half if they look up at the scoreboard?
Yeah, no, we're not going to talk about that. But, I think that the thing we have to do is we have to be us. We're on the road. You got to really take care of the ball. We need to get a shot every time. We need to get our shot every time. You can't settle. I think when you watch teams, they're going to give you certain places on the floor to shoot from. And you got to make sure that you're comfortable with that, or you got to impart to your kids, hey, you're open for a reason, baby. And so, well, coach, I'm open. Yeah, you're open for a reason. And so you got to impart that to your kids. Don't settle for that one. Go get this one. You can get this one. But, that's the thing. And again, that's part of the discipline that you have to have. Discipline's built on habits, and habits, are built in practice. They're built in training, and that's what we do. That's, we don't ever stop trying to do that throughout the course of a season. And so I'm hopeful that, we've turned the corner. We've been playing pretty hard and pretty well lately, defensively. And again, offensively, we have our moments, but again, we got to go make shots on the road. And that's the challenge sometimes.
All right, go ahead, Danny.
Vic, I want to ask you about the hometown kid. Aaliyah, what is your thoughts on how she has progressed this season? Obviously, the ankle injury and having to lose those 6-7 weeks kind of slowed her, I guess, development down a little bit. But just what are your thoughts about where she's at and how she's developed so far this season?
Yeah, I'm completely pleased with her. I mean, what she went through, the inactivity, out 7 weeks in a season's hard, and then trying to knock the rust. I looked at it the other day. She's been back about 24 days. And so when you're out almost 60 days, 50 something days, you especially a freshman, it's hard enough coming in and playing at this level as a freshman, and then to have that setback is really a challenge. And, kids worked extremely hard. I mean, she's just a wonderful young lady and just works hard, but she's got to continue to work hard. She's got to continue to put time in, on her shot, and as we all do. And the other piece is, it's, as I've told y'all before, this is our playbook. It's a lot. And for my freshmen, they really, we spent 40 minutes yesterday on the playbook, because we still have so many players, not just freshmen, so many players that are missing bits and pieces of the playbook. And when one person doesn't know it, it shows, obviously. So as I told them yesterday, I've either got to cut it in half and simplify it, or I got to coach better and teach better. But, back to Aaliyah, she's doing fine. And, again, she's somebody that you better pay attention to, because if you don't, you'll look up one night and she's going to have 15 and 15, and she's capable of that. And so obviously it's a kid for us that not only this year, because she's back in the starting lineup, but for years to come, she's going to be somebody people are going to have to deal with night in and night out. And you're talking about a confident kid, a very talented kid, a hard worker. I mean, she's everything, you want in a player. Tremendous work habits, leader. So excited about her, and she gets better and better every day. It's just a process.
Now, when you look at this Oklahoma team, obviously we've talked about the guards and how they shoot. They are lacking a little bit in size. I'm kind of wondering, when you obviously see what Aoka did last year, Charlie had 2 good games last season. Obviously that's 6'6" and 6'5", but do your bigs need to have a good weekend, to beat this Oklahoma team?
Well, I think our whole team does offensively. I mean, we've got to score, and, certainly, we do have some size. We have some inside players, and they need to play well, just like our guards need to play well. I think there's areas on the floor that we've got to attack, just like every game. And certainly against Oklahoma, there's some things that we're hopeful that we can do. But you're right. We do have a little bit of, couple inches size advantage in some spots. And then, we could have that at some other spots, but then if you're just looking at size, well, then you might give up, quickness to that player that you're trying to take advantage of on offense. They may have the advantage, when we're on defense. So it's kind of a catch-22. The other night, we had both bigs in a lot, played some big lineups, and it worked for us at times. But, it always seems like Audrey coming in, she's been really a big difference for us defensively. And the other night she was a big difference offensively. And I've got to get some other kids ready to be able to do offensively what she did the other night. We've got to be able to make 15 footers. I mean, when you're open at 15, it's a free throw, and we got to be able to make those shots. So I think that's a big key for us right now is just we got to continue to work and be able to execute and do some things offensively.
All right, go ahead, Jonathan.
Coach, first game against Oklahoma this year. Have you noticed a little bit of an extra bounce in the players? And what's the excitement level of playing in a rivalry game, especially on the road?
Again, I'm not sure all of my players understand the history of these two teams, and you have to. I get it. My administration gets it. Maybe some of my Texas kids get it, but for the rest of them, hey, they just know we're going on the road playing a number 14 team in the country that's averaging, 87 points a game. I think that's the thing that really jumps out is that they're averaging so many points a game over the course of the season, and yet usually that number really changes, y'all, when you get to conference. And what's impressive about their team is that it hasn't changed at all. It's changed very little when you get out of conference. So they're averaging 83, 84 a game, in conference, 87 in non-conference. So it hasn't changed. The competition steps up, but so have they. And so I think for a lot of my kids, it's to be honest, we're playing number 14 on the road. I've told them it's going to be, loud. It's going to be packed. They're at home. They know what the team does. And so I think for most of them, now, if you ask Audrey today, Audrey's going to say, hey, Coach, what time is it? Do y'all know the rest of that?
Yes.
Okay. That's where she's at with it. And you have to appreciate, her understanding the rivalry and things like that. So it is what it is. We've got to go up there and play well. I know it's a rivalry, but more importantly, it's the next game on the schedule for us. It's against the top 15 team on the road, a well-coached, well-disciplined, well-oiled offensive machine. And, we've got a big, tall task at hand.
All right, go ahead, Danny.
I think it'd be more entertaining to see Audrey say that to the Sooners and her family as opposed to you, Vic.
Well, we're not gonna. That's not for public consumption. We'll talk about that, another time.
Vic, where do you feel the team is at turnover wise? Obviously, it's down from the 20s, but you've also been playing some zone defenses. So I don't know if you're exactly excited about the numbers, but where are you guys at turnover wise?
Yeah, I'm not excited about 15 against the zone. Kansas State played zone. We gave it to them 15 times. We're just, we had some kids that, turn the ball over every time they touched it the other night. And we had 2 turnovers, first 2 possessions the other night. We've got to do better. We have to do better. And, that's the problem, y'all, with when you have an offense and everybody touches it, that's the problem. When you got a point guard and it stays in their hand a lot and they're the ones making the decisions that lead to the shot, typically your turnovers are way down. I've had, we've had some great point guards over the years and we keep the ball in their hands a lot. And so I think, we've got to make better decisions. Our post players have got to make better decisions. We had some posts make some really bad decisions the other night as well. And so, again, we put some people in some bad positions the other night, quite frankly. We passed the ball to some kids in some really difficult positions on the floor, and we just don't need to do that. So we've got to all be cognizant of that and do better.
I guess my last one. I don't know if you've seen the video or the GIF yet of Aaliyah's reaction to your tomato analogy at the press conference the other night. How do your players react to these Vic-isms? Because it seemed like Joe was pretty into it, but Aaliyah was definitely a little questionable about what you're saying.
Yeah, Aaliyah, I'm a little questionable about some of the things she says too. So me and Aaliyah, we kind of go back and forth with each other and have fun with each other. And again, the thing was, we were talking about Audrey and the benefit of bringing a senior off the bench, to kind of play either the 3 or the 4. And that's the beauty of having a senior that comes in and does that. And it's just a real luxury. And I think that's what kind of got lost in the whole thing. I've been playing my entire bench pretty much all year. Everybody's averaging double-figure minutes per game. And the thing is that, in Audrey's case, she's playing better as a veteran. And then I think in our young kids' case, they're playing better. They're all getting better. So that's what's exciting for me, is seeing those young kids come into ball games in Big 12 play, playing double-figure minutes and being productive and not hurting us. And that shows growth. That shows that we're getting better, and we're doing what we're supposed to do. So again, Aaliyah and I we kind of go back and forth with each other a little bit, and that's okay. We have a good time with it. Didn't realize that turned into a gift.
Everything turns into a gift, Vic. Everything.
You're right. You're right. You're right.
All right, guys. Any last ones?
Appreciate y'all.
All right. Thank you.
Praise the Lord and hook 'em.